right, and also welcome back to YouTube. This is going to be part 2 of our balance manifesto that came out today. Yesterday's was flask and ailment mitigation. That one was pretty good. This one is core character defense and recovery, and tomorrow's is the aura, curse, and ailment damage over time. This is the one I'm most excited about, tomorrow's, but I'm still pretty keen for this one. But this tomorrow's one, that's the one I'm most interested in. I'm very hyped for that third one. All right, so we're just gonna get started, see if we can make this one a little bit shorter than the last one. Right, core character defenses and recovery. We are doing a major balance pass to improve defenses and recovery over all characters. The goal here is to put more power into core defenses, armor, evasion, and energy shield to make them the best way to mitigate the kind of damage they are best at preventing, while taking some of the power away from one-off mechanics that provide significant defense at too low of a cost. Some individual mechanics have been nerfed. This is overall a massive buff to defenses across the board. Previously, there were some very tanky characters that were gated behind some very specific niche mechanics and unique, so were not accessible to everyone. Doing here is moving a lot of that power to elsewhere, so that the core defenses are far more powerful than they were before. All right. And making sure that every character has plenty of ways to mitigate and a much more diverse set of damage types. For example, evasion mitigates attacks well, so we're introducing spell suppression to help evasion builds protect themselves against spells. All right, so there's the spoiler from yesterday where they mentioned spell suppression and then just didn't say anything about it at all. Okay. All right. Overarching problem. Dodge and blind provided more mitigation for fewer passive points and item slots than any other defensive type. Attack dodge does this in a form that's almost identical to evasion, but is far more efficient only when you mix it with evasion. Because entropy reasons, not on its own. Blind was OP though. I'm not gonna lie. Blind is OP. Right. Problem. Wait, overarching goal. Remove dodge entirely and review certain powerful mechanics like blind and fortify for non-melee characters. Improve almost every other scalable defense type significantly to make them more powerful. This includes armor, evasion, energy shield, recovery, and spell block. Remove dodge entirely. Okay. Calm down. Nice buff. All right, keep reading, dickhead. Problem. Armor as a core stat is trash. Provided sufficient defense. Armor as a core stat doesn't provide sufficient defense. Yep. With low to medium investment. Armor characters instead rely on a number of other characters to provide them with defenses against physical damage that armor is meant to provide. Okay. Solution. Improve the armor formula so that armor is more powerful, providing better mitigation across the board and increasing the strength of modifiers on items that add local base armor. Yo! Armor being good? Previously, if you had 10,000 armor and you took a hit that dealt 2,000 damage, you reduced that by 33%. Now you will reduce that by 50%. Okay. Okay. No, this was originally posted with incorrect values and has since been updated. Oh, what did that? I don't know what that said to begin with. I'm sorry, I just got here. Rule of thumb with new armor formula is that if you want to get 50% mitigation against a physical hit, you need 5 times that damage number as armor, whereas previously we required 10 times. Okay. As an example, if you want to mitigate a 5,000 hit down to 2,500, you need 50,000 armor to do that, and now you only need 25,000 armor. I mean, this is a pretty good change, but also 25,000 armor is still quite a decent amount of investment to get. Right, increases the strength modifiers. Increases the strength of modifiers on gear that add local base armor. Oh, okay. And added a smoother progression of tiers. And they're currently very, very low until the highest tier. Correct. And had some levels where there was no new tier for a large number of levels. Okay. This will on average result in a higher armor on the item, especially during the campaign and early maps, and make it much more affordable to reach decent armor values. All right. Armor provided. Is this a spectral shield throw buff? Anyway, armor provided by base types can now be up to 10% higher as part of the variable base type system detailed below. Don't do that to me. Oh, how am I going to loot filter that? Okay, it's fine. Anyway, determination has been buffed to provide both flat bonus to armor as well as its existing more multiplier. It now grants 2051 flat armor at level 20. Okay, I like that. I do like that. Determination may be useful in some cases. And a new suffix modifier has been added to all armor-based body armors and shield that provide up to 8% physical damage reduction. Yo, Fizmit, 8%? That's a lot. Additional physical damage reduction modifiers were discontinued from other rare modifiers so that large values could be provided in the above two slots. Okay, I mean that's fine. I never rolled them anyway. They were too small of a value to warrant it, even when you were weak to Fizz. But having it be 8% per is like enough that I actually care, right? Whereas before you would roll like 2% on something if you were lucky, and that wasn't worth having an affix for, even if you were weak to Fizz. Whereas if it's 8%, that is worth having, especially if you put on two of them. 16% Fizz mitigation plus better armor, quite nice. Anyway, new suffix modifiers have been added to all armor-based gloves, helmets, and boots that provide increased life regeneration rate. Yo, this works multiplicatively with your life regeneration value. Yeah. Okay. All right, more multipliers on our life regen. Inquisitor says hello. Anyway, reviewing. Oh, that won't work with Inquisitor. Oh, clever. Oh, clever. Life regeneration rate probably won't work with the Inquisitor thing that doubles it as energy shield. It'll probably only apply to the life. Clever. Oh, that I like that. Review to monsters' base armor as a result of the changes to the armor formula. This may result in no changes if there have been no significant impact on character's damage. But they will. It will be if their armor... Anyway. Alright, next problem. Evasion doesn't provide sufficient defense. Evasive characters instead rely on acrobatics and phase acrobatics keystone to provide attack and spell mitigation. Not just those, we also need to get more dodge and more spell dodge than that, and usually a blind. Maybe even like a Val Grace. Solution: remove attack dodge entirely. Ugh. Substantially buff evasion so that it is a good option to make sure it is available on items. Okay. Okay. All right. Everyone in chat needs to stop typing keep reading like I'm intending on stopping here. It's a what? Move attack dodge entirely. Okay, so improve the evasion formula to grant more chance to evade at all values of evasion. To have 75% chance to evade tier 16 monsters, you currently need 49,000 evasion rating to achieve this. It's actually not true. The number's higher than that. Because of different modifiers that happen, you end up needing like 57k. Anyway, let's not worry about that. That's probably just a base white tier 16. Oh, but it's moving from 49 to 24. Ooh. Oh, that's a lot better. 75% chance to evade a tier 1. You currently need 23.8, and instead you'll only need 12.7. Okay. 50% chance to evade. You'll only need 8,000 instead of 13. Even a 25% chance to evade. Oh no, see, that's from 3,300 to 4,500. It's not a huge deal there. So that's interesting. So the more you invest into it, the better it gets. Seemingly at a really good rate. Like exponentially better. Like it feels much better. So investing into evasion on its own may be now actually worth. But now what do we do about spells? Increase modifiers on gear that add local base evasion rating and smooth progression of tier. You're currently very low. Okay, so it's the same thing as the bases are being improved. This will on average result in items with higher evasion on them, especially during the campaign and early maps, make them much more affordable to reach decent evasion values. Updated crafter modifiers. Yep, cool. Evasion provided by base types can now be up to 10% higher as part of the variable base type system detailed below. We're going to get into this because this bit's not confusing me so much as annoying me, but we'll see how that actually plays out. I need the rest of it. Grace Skill Gem now has you and nearby allies gain 20% more evasion at level 1, up to 29% at level 20, which makes it 30% at 21, as well as its existing flat evasion rating. These changes make the aura very effective at attack mitigation if you've already invested in evasion rating. Reworked evasion passives, adjusted monsters evasion and minion accuracy to compensate for these changes to the evasion formula. All right. Problem. Evasion provides no strength, no defense against spells. I agree. Solution. Introduce spell suppression on evasion items, as well as in the dexterity section of the passive tree, which gives us a chance to halve the spell damage taken. This chance can be stacked up to 100%. Convert existing sources of dodge and spell dodge into spell suppression or replace them with other bonuses. Okay. But if I get hit by half of something, I probably still die. Like, that's just decidedly worse than dodge, even if you get it at 100%. That's just decidedly worse than dodge. Half of a spell still kills me. And it probably will still... I don't know about this. Okay. Spell suppression is designed dexterity's best answer to spells. The spell suppression gives easier access to more reliable spell mitigation. Dex characters without reliance on specific uniques. Much more reliable than spell dodge, but has a lower maximum. Yeah, more reliably, you get hit more reliably and die more reliably. Like, you know, most of those characters only have like 4 to 5k life, right? Unless they're also addressing the life portion of that side of the tree. There are a few specialized ways to invest. Increase spell damage suppression to reward higher investment if you want to further protect yourself from spell hits. Like, can I increase the value above 50%? Because that might make it better. spell suppression will be found on various passives in the evasion areas of the passive skill tree. Okay. The evasion will at the center of the passive skill no longer provides accuracy, but provides a combination of evasion and chance to suppress spells instead. New suffix modifiers have been added to all evasion type armors that can roll chance to suppress spell damage. Body armors and shield in particular have larger values. Okay. New keystone added to the center of the tree. Dexterity provides no inherent bonus to evasion rating, but you gain 1% chance to suppress spell damage per 15 dex. Okay. Okay. Val Grace no longer has a chance to dodge attacks or spell hits. Instead, it now has 15% chance to evade attacks hits. And suppressed spell damage dealt to you is unlucky. I mean... okay. Additional chance to evade modifiers were discontinued from all rare modifiers, passives, and pantheon powers, as their values were generally too low, felt out of place. Valgrace could provide a large value of this stat. Okay. Change elusive to provide 15% chance to avoid damage from hits instead of its old dodge-related stat. Okay. Change Wind Dancer to further improve the high evasion build rather than reducing evade chance. Makes it riskier if you're not evading a lot of attacks. It now gives less attack damage taken if you haven't been hit recently by an attack, and more evasion rating and attack damage taken if you've been hit. So it's better for evasion characters that have a high evasion rating, and bad for characters that are being hit a lot. Has no interaction with spells now to focus on its interaction on evasion. I heavily suspect by that description alone that no one takes Wind Dancer, even high evasion characters. That just sounds like a mistake. I mean, I'm gonna want to see the real specifics on that, but that feels like even my high evasion characters aren't gonna take Wind Dancer. Okay. That's a weird one. That one? That's a weird one. Right. Acrobatics has been redesigned. It no longer has any of its old properties, but now changes any modifiers to spell damage suppression into spell dodge at 50% of its value. Okay, so I can get my spell dodge back. The intention is that Acrobatics is the only source in the entire game for spell dodge. For characters who would like to benefit from that playstyle still, spell dodge is still capped at 75. The Keystone passive will specifically mention this. Phase Acrobatics no longer exists. Other smaller changes on top of the ones noted before improve items, passive skills, etc. Okay. Interesting. Man, I'm gonna want the Path of Building update way earlier than like 2 days before the league starts, bud. There's too much going on here. I'm gonna need that Path of Building update a little earlier this time. Yep. Okay. Gonna need to see that new tree, bud. Alright, due to armor and evasion not working effectively as primary defenses previously, introduced a lot of mechanics over the years that either scale them too efficiently, or scale off them too efficiently, or not well enough. The intention would be that the straightforward way of getting armor and evasion on your items is the best way to maximize the efficiency. Solution: review all mechanics that scale off armor and evasion, and all mechanics that grant large values or increases to armor and evasion. Uh-oh. Val Molten Shell buff now grants twice as much armor. Yup. Buff no longer grants more armor. Now grants 35% of damage from hits taken instead of 30 up to 40%. Okay, so Val Molten Shell's kind of a little bit better, I think. Kind of a little bit better, I think. The Brass Dome unique has been redesigned to more properly embrace its identity of a high armor body armor, while not providing as extreme of a difference compared to a rare body armor with the top tier armor modifiers. Okay, sure. Sure, you say that. You do that. That's fine. Memory Vault no longer grants gain armor equal to your reserved mana. It instead now grants 1% increased armor per 50 reserved mana. That's trash. You've destroyed Memory Vault. That's garbage. What? That's trash. I guess we can just hide that on the filter. They might as well have just said, we've removed Memory Vault from the game. Like, why didn't they? We've got too many uniques anyway. When you're sick of one, you can just take it away. Like, I promise you can just say no more Memory Vault and everyone will be fine with it. It's fine. You don't have to make them trash. You could just get rid of them. Alright, anyway. The Formless Flame and the Formless Inferno now grant armor is increased by overcapped fire resistance instead of uncapped. Okay. Okay, sure. The Kraken, Carcass, whatever. The Crab armor now grants 200 to 250% armor instead of 300 to 350. It provided just a bit too much armor compared to rares when considered with all the other stats it provided. I mean, no one used it, so it didn't. But maybe it will now. I don't know. Transcendence Keystone passive skill now grants a larger penalty to all maximum elemental resistance. It was previously -5. Really? A larger one? Okay. Mask of Tribunal no longer grants nearby allies have increased defenses per 100 strength. Instead, it now grants have 1% chance to block attack damage per 100 strength. What? What? Mask of the Tribunal no longer has 6% increased defense per 100 strength, now has 1% chance to block attack damage per 100 strength. You should try real hard and get like 2000 strength. This helmet will give you 20% chance to block, or roughly 2.5 passive points worth of block from a block wheel. What is this? I don't know if anyone's going to use that anymore. All right. Avatar of the Chase, Raider notable. Sensi passive no longer grants 35% more chance to evade during onslaught, or 35% more chance to evade projectiles during onslaught. Now instead it grants 10% more chance to evade attacks during onslaught. Okay. I mean, okay. It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell whether this matters or not because of all the other changes that went with it. Like before, evasion was never really that good to begin with. So getting 35% more of your shitty evasion with your shitty evasion numbers didn't really matter. Not that much. Whereas now that evasion is actually good, 10% more of it might matter. So I don't know if this is actually a nerf with everything taken into account. I don't know. The Snowbind Grace and the Perfect Form now grant evasion rating is increased by overcapped cold resistance, previously uncapped cold resistance. Yep. Its other stats are now improved. Cool. Cool, cool. Willow Gift no longer grants fortify buffs you create. Instead grant 30% more evasion rating. Instead, it now grants 4% chance to suppress spell damage per fortification, but removes the less damage taken from fortification. Existing items no longer provide evasion rating while you have fortify. You will need to use a divine orb. Okay, so fortification, that's a new word. That's a new word. We heard a new word today. Presumably something to do with fortify, presumably an amount of stacks of fortification relevant to your damage. We'll see how that happens. All right, next, characters who rely solely on armor are not protected against elemental damage. True. Solution: add more maximum elemental resistance to areas in a passive tree that have armor on them. Ooh, okay. That's a very short spoiler. More access to maximum elemental resistance is provided for the armor areas of the passive tree in order to shore up the weakness of armor-focused characters. You know, my Spectre build could be an armor-focused character. You know, we're getting off track there. Anyway, we'll keep moving on. First problem. The veiled modifiers that increase quality of equipment was required to maximize energy shield from items. This problem because you couldn't pick up the best energy shield item off the ground. Of course, you haven't been able to pick up the best anything off the ground for quite a while. Stacking the energy from not notable on passive clusters were too efficient of a way to maximize your energy shield. Disagree. They were only barely worth using and only in certain builds. Not like every energy shield build would build them. Solution: replace the veiled modifier with lower veiled modifiers and lower the power of energy notables. Compensate all characters for the loss of maximum energy shield by increasing the strength of all energy shield base types and adding more energy shield passives on the tree. Okay. Energy shield provides more base. Energy shield provided by base types can now be up to 20% higher. It's part of the variable base type system. Seriously? Okay, just quick note. Not that anyone from GGG is listening, but if you're going to reference the variable base type system in like 17 different points during the document, can we have variable base type system up the top? Define that first instead of making us question every day. If it's relevant in all the information, you need to put that closer to the top of the document so that we know what we're talking about when we get there. Pause, thanks for the raid. I'm just saying it needed to be. I still don't know what it is. It's down the bottom somewhere. Anyway, veiled crafted modifier that provided quality and strength dex int no longer provides quality. This is to keep the top end about the same while bringing the lower investment energy shield up. Instead, it now grants 25% chance to avoid ignite, freeze, or shock depending on the attribute, and also provides another way to solve ailment problems. Okay. The energy shield from Naught cluster notable now grants only 60 flat energy shield. That's... I don't want to outright say that's dead, but it feels dead. So, okay. Add a new passive that grants energy shield to various locations of the tree that didn't have many energy shield passives. Okay, so most of this is pretty cool. My biggest concern here is that I can no longer craft quality on my chests, which six links already got significantly more expensive because they got rid of the six link random stuff that was happening, most of it. They're talking about getting rid of prophecies, so faded connections might disappear as well. And then on top of that, I can no longer quality my stuff to fuse them. Six links are starting to get they're starting to get more expensive is all, which I'm fine with. I just hope that they're aware that they are making six links much harder to get. If that's a conscious choice, then I'm fine with it. Right. Problem. With the desire to increase armor, evasion, and energy shield power across the board, we felt that the base values on items were too low. In addition, we feel like our item system needs more base type heterogeneity. That word. We feel like our item systems needs more base type, that word. Solution. Base types now generate with a random 0 to 10% higher base defense as an inbuilt, currently non-modifiable property. This means that all base types can be as they currently are, and armor base types are not homogeneous anymore. Energy shield values are 0 to 20% instead. This is fucking terrible. This is not a good, no. If you're going to do this, please make it so I can filter them, because I'm just not going to pick up a Val Regalia that doesn't roll 20. Like I'm never going to pick one up off the ground that doesn't roll 20. And I'm never going to pick an armor base up that doesn't roll 10. You just, and if you make me read all of them, then I'll just pick up none. Because that's just a waste of time. Please don't do this. This is terrible. That is absolute trash. No. Nope. Throw this bit out. Right. Anyway, problem. Energy shield is more often used with leech and regenerating life rather than embracing its own unique mechanics. Solution: increase the recovery rate of energy shield recharge, rework the downside of Wicked Ward, more improvements to recharge. You know, I forgot that recharge existed, to be honest. Energy shield now recharges at a base amount of 33% per second instead of 20. Wicked Ward no longer provides 50% less regen or 50% less maximum total recovery from leech. Instead, it now grants 40% less energy shield recharge rate. Bring the recharge rate with Wicked Ward down to 19.8% per second. Close enough to its original. Well, before it would have been 20%, yep. With or without the keystone. It allows you to invest in other forms of energy shield recovery if you would like, including energy shield leech in your build. Recharge also has more avenues of scaling as mentioned below, and combined with faster natural recharge is almost entirely a buff. This sounds actually good. This sounds actually good. Okay. New suffixes have been added to energy shield based armor, body armor, and shields that provide up to 66% faster start of energy shield recharge on each item slot. Okay. Was it like 132% faster start of energy shield on 2 items? That's quite nice. Crafted and influenced faster start of energy shield recharge modifiers on rings can no longer be obtained. Okay, sure. Fastest start of energy shield recharge has also been added to areas of the passive tree where energy shield is found. Crafted modifiers have also been added. New suffixes have been added to energy shield based gloves, helmets, and boots that provide up to 38% increased energy shield recharge rate. Crafted modifiers have also been added. Yo! 38% on 3 items. This could be a ES recharge builds could be like a proper thing again. It has been in the past. It just wasn't very good anytime recently. Percent energy shield regeneration modifiers can no longer be obtained on energy shield based body armors and are no longer in the influence modifier pool. Okay. The Ghost Reaver Keystone passive now prevents your energy shield from recharging. Previously 50% less recharge rate. Okay, so if you take Ghost Reaver, you just don't recharge at all. Okay, that's fair. I'm fine. It's fine. The Crusader modifier on gloves that provided maximum total energy shield recovery per second from leech is now 15% instead of 10. Okay. Increased maximum total energy shield recovery per second from leech has been improved on the passive tree. So energy shield is now stronger with investment. Cool. All right. I like it. It's just, I'm really stuck back here at this thing, wherever it went. I don't know where it went now. Oh, here, this. Can we just not do this? I'm really stuck here. Can we just not do this, please? You just fucking gross, man. Don't do it. Don't do it. Right, anyway. Builds wanting to invest in both both evasion and energy shield rely heavily on Ghost Reaver, requiring them to be tricksters. Yes, it's like the only interesting thing about tricksters. Solution: give everyone access to Ghost Reaver. Oh no. Oh no. Rip tricksters. I'm sorry, we've taken your only trick and now everyone has it. Every 2 seconds, gain a Ghost Shroud up to a maximum of 3. When hit, lose a Ghost Shroud and recover energy shield equal to a percentage of your evasion rating. Cannot recover energy shield to above evasion rating. We're still deciding on a specific value. Okay. Trickster Ascendancy will be changed as it no longer grants Ghost Dance. Okay, literally the only thing Trickster had was Ghost Dance. That was its one trick. Okay. Like everything else in it can just be gotten better elsewhere. That was, I hope you replace that with something interesting. Okay. Builds wanting to invest in both armor and energy shields have no mechanics that give synergy between the two. I mean, they did have. You deleted them earlier today. Add a new Keystone passive skill and add more hybrid armor energy shield passives in the Templar section. Okay. Add a new Keystone passives called Divine Shield. A percentage of total physical damage prevented from hits recently is regenerated as energy shield per second. Cannot recover energy shield above armor. We're still deciding on a specific value. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Again, Inquisitor says hello. Do I want to league start an Inquisitor? No. Keep reading. Go away. Stop making me want to try and change league start things. Anyway. Some areas of the passive skill tree and the shadow area in particular have no defense against and very little life regeneration to overcome. damage over time effects. You know, it's the ranger area is even shorter than the shadow area, to be honest. Solution: improve life regeneration modifiers on gear and add a new keystone between witch and shadow on the passive skill tree to heavily dampen the initial impact of damage over time. The what now? Greatly enhanced flat regeneration modifier to gear to be closer to the 2 to 3% of the expected character life at that level. Percent based on life regeneration has been removed. Okay. Removed from non-unique equipment and from the influence modifier. Now reserved for uniques and passive skill tree. Okay. New keystone passive added to the shadow area called Lethe Shade. I'm almost positive that that's not it. I'm almost positive that that's not it, but we're going to go with that. Called Lethe Shade. Take 75% less damage over time if you've started taking damage over time in the past second. That's a very low amount of time. And also 100% more duration of ailments on you. Hard pass. Like, unless you've become ailment immune. Especially if you've become unaffected by ailments and are reflecting them to you. That could be. Anyway. Just a little thought there. Problem: a few specific mechanics granted a lot of life regen, especially with endurance charge stacking, but for many other sources of regeneration is not that helpful. Right, hang on. There we go. Okay. From other sources of life regeneration were not very powerful. Solution: remove various sources of life regeneration per endurance charge or lower their values. Do you know how much investment was needed before that was good anyway? It's not like everyone was using that. Very weird. Review the effects that life regeneration rate values, blah blah blah. Add new passives to the strength area of the tree that grant life regeneration and one source of increased life regeneration. Okay. So more life regen? I do like life regen. Okay. Alright. I'm on board with this. Okay. Yeah, alright. There's just gonna be more life regen around Marauder, like they didn't already have enough. Hopefully that bleeds up to the Inquisitor area as well, because I'm quite often there. Problem. Shadow attackers don't have any form of life recovery they excel at. Yeah, or any damage that they excel at, or any clear speed, or any bossing potential. Anyway, shadow attackers, that's a thing, doesn't have a form of life recovery they excel at, while almost every other core character has a signature special recovery method. Ranger. Added a new passive skill cluster to the shadow area of the passive skill tree, allowing investment in a combination of life on hit and life on kill and life leech. Okay. This also includes a source of maximum total recovery per second from life leech in the shadow area of the passive tree, allowing you to invest in a combination of life on hit, life on kill, and life leech. Okay. Alright. I'm on board. Problem. Witch and shadow casters don't have an accessible form of life recovery. Sure, let's go with that. A new passive skill cluster in the area A new passive skill clusters to the area of the passive tree between Shadow and Witch, allowing for investment on life on kill and recouping a portion of the damage taken as life. Ooh. Oh. Just imagine if that's inside the Thread of Hope range. Like, I'm sure it won't be, but just imagine. Just imagine. Imagine if the Spectre Thread hit the recoup one. Anyway. Problem. Block is a pretty fundamental form of defense available to characters, seeing as it available on shields, but the Gladiator Ascendancy is far more efficient for block investment compared to any other classes because of Gladiator's versatile combat notable skill that grants as much spell block as you have attack block. I don't like where this is going. Solution: give everyone access to a weaker form of versatile combatant as a keystone passive and replace the Gladiator Ascendancy skill. Also improve how much block chance and spell block chance you can get from other sources. Okay. Versatile combat is all Gladiator had. Well, that's not true. Gladiator charges and explode were also pretty good, but you never got them because you got this. But anyway, versatile combatant is now a keystone passive on the passive tree that grants 2% chance to block spell damage for each 1% overcap chance to block attack damage. Also grants minus 25 to maximum chance to block attack damage and minus 25 to the maximum chance to block spell damage. This means that if you have 75% chance to block attack damage, allocating this keystone will grant you a 50% chance to block attack damage as well as a 50% chance to block spell damage. That is trash. That is hot garbage is what that is. Don't. No. More access to spell block has been added between Templar and Witch sections of the passive tree. Cool. The suffix modifiers that grant attack block and spell block on shields have been improved. The new tiers have been added, which now grant up to 16% chance to block attack and 15% chance for spells at their highest tier. The Gladiator's block ascendancy passive skills will be reworked. We're experimenting with a new notable passive that will make the Gladiator's chance to block attack damage lucky, which helps offset the downside of versatile combatant. Nope, we're just not taking that node. We'll be making further changes to the passive tree and the life granted by bone offering. No, don't hit my bone offering. I wanted that. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Don't worry about it. I'll also have like 14,000 armor this time. So that'll be fine. Okay. The pool of modifiers available on shields includes some that have values that are too low or aren't relevant to shields. The power level of shield modifiers in general is also too low. Don't know that I agree, but I'm happy to see it buffed. Solution: remove irrelevant modifiers from shields and add some really powerful ones. Okay, I'm on board. Let's go. Modifiers such as chance to block projectile attack damage, chance to avoid stun, increased global physical damage, global elemental damage, global attack damage, flat mana on block, percentage life regen, increased cast speed, either felt out of place or generally didn't have meaningful impact. Attack damage was good. Physical damage, global physical damage was good. Global elemental damage was good. Global attack damage was a good mod. and increased cast speed is a fantastic mod. You've just listed a ton of mods that I have intentionally crafted shields for. What are you talking about? An increased content either felt out of place or generally didn't have impactful values. These can no longer be obtained on various shields. You what now? The changes are meant to make shields feel more cohesive as a defensive piece of equipment, as well as make their core modifiers more impactful. This will also make it easier to roll more powerful shields and obtain shields with specific modifiers you're after. As mentioned above, modifiers such as block and spell block were significantly improved with new tiers added. Block chance now get up to 16, spell block up to 15. We've added a few impactful modifiers for specific shield types. We've added a few impactful modifiers on specific shield types. Armor-based shields could now roll high values of reduced extra damage taken from critical strike, up to 60%. Armor-based shields can now roll 8% additional physical damage reduction. That's actually a good move, so that's fine. Noodle, thank you for the raid. Armor-based shields could now roll up to 100 life a block, which is not a terrible amount. Evasions can now have chance to suppress spell damage, 34%, which is pretty good. But these better all be suffixes, otherwise we can't have them anyway. Energy shield base can now roll higher values of faster start of energy shield recharge up to 66. Can now energy shield based shields can now roll increased critical strike chance with spells. Previously only pure energy shields could roll that. Okay, so there's one change that I didn't like earlier up, which is the variable base type. And then this is the first change where I've read, where I feel like there's a disconnect between how I believe this entire game functions and how they do. This is one of those, this is not right. Like literally, I've crafted many shields to intentionally have this mod, or intentionally have this mod, or intentionally have this mod, or intentionally have this mod. They're some of the best mods you can get on shields, and if I can't get them, we just stop using shields. Like, this is very weird. This is very weird. This area here, whoever was in charge of this, not as good as the people in charge of other things. There's been plenty of really good things on here. But whoever was in charge of that specific one, not really as good as the other people. But that's fine. They can't all be bangers. Moving on. As a defense, blind was equivalent to having an incredibly high level of evasion with minimal character investment. It felt mandatory for all characters. Did it? I might have been building almost all of my characters wrong for a very long time, because I didn't really go out. Occasionally I used blind, but I definitely wouldn't have called it mandatory for anyone. That's weird. All right. Solution: make blind synergize with evasion so that it's more powerful only if you have built a very evasive character. Power level of new blind is significantly lower than before, but has more opportunities for further investments if you want to specialize it. Blind now causes a target of 20% less accuracy and evasion rating. Change make it so blind is no defensive help to character has no evasion. It helps if you do. It also has an offensive component if you want to lower the evasion rating of enemies and monsters to make sure you hit them. Okay. Okay. Weird. Blind effect is now available on the passive tree. Saboteur ascendancy that was tied to blind is being reviewed. Flesh and stone is being changed. Okay. All right, let's go. Because flesh and stone blinded nearby enemies, it was incredibly powerful. The change to blind have reduced its power. And okay. Also, Coffee, Shutter, and Ildris, thank you very much for the gift subs. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Reduced the cost of Flesh and Stone to change Tempest Shield so that it is similarly powerful defensive reservation effect alongside Arctic Armor and Flesh of Stone. The intent is that... Okay. The intent is that there are 3 competing defensive reservation effects they're able to pick between. I tell you what, Tempest Shield better give you more than 3% block if you're going to use it as a reservation. I would not spend 25% mana on immune to shock. I just wouldn't. All right, Flesh and Stone has been changed back to 25%. Okay. Tempest Shield has been reworked into a 25% reservation effect that provides a large amount of spell block as well as an immunity to shock. And it still shoots out the thing, but the damage has been significantly buffed. Okay, what's a large amount of spell block? Because, like, is it enough to warrant using? Who knows? We'll see. Probably don't need it. It'd have to be 15-16% to even be considered by anyone. And I would need it to be more like 35% before I'd even think about it myself. Arctic Armor was already buffed to provide immunity to freeze. Yep, I actually quite like that, to be honest. Alright, problem. Fortify is intended as a defensive benefit for melee characters and can often be obtained by spellcasters using melee weapon types that do not engage in melee combat. Solution: change the Fortify mechanic so its effect is based on your melee damage. Okay. Specifics. We don't have any. We're experimenting with a system that lets Fortify be applied based on melee damage dealt so that a tiny little melee damage hits don't provide full strength Fortify. This means that we'll be able to introduce chance to Fortify on hit on passive skills or items in which we've avoided in the past, but we're working to avoid a system where every spellcaster wants to run shield charge to get Fortify at little cost. Our eventual goal here is that all melee characters will keep up Fortify reliably without a huge cost, while spellcasters and ranged characters won't have access to the mechanic without significant investment or being a champion. That concludes part 2 of the 3.16 expansion changes. Tomorrow we'll share part 3, which will cover our plans for auras, curses, and elemental damage over time. Please keep in mind, several weeks away from launch, blah, 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 everything might change. Ooh, okay, so this one was interesting. This one felt worse than yesterday's. I was super happy yesterday. Today I'm still mostly happy, but there are some things in here that confuse the shit out of me. Like Gladiator getting gutted like this. Gladiator is not a strong ascendancy. It never has been. It hasn't been for a very long time. It is very tanky. And yes, going those shield routes did make you very, very tanky. But you did no damage as a result of that. And that seemed fair. Like, that's a fair trade-off to make. To invest that much in being tanky and just accept that you're going to be very, very slow. Feels fine to me. I don't understand. And then there's... I mean, I don't actually hate the idea of the stuff with dodge disappearing and whatnot. That's fine. But there's just... This one was just like a little weird. They basically got rid of Trickster's only interesting mechanic too, which is weird. Just kind of gave it to everyone, which is a bit odd. But really the only big problem I have with this whole thing today is variable gear. Please don't variable gear. Please roll back on that. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in variable gear. There's already so much RNG. I already have to get the right base type to drop, and you're going to tell me that 19 out of 20? No. 20 out of 21 of the Val Regalias that I dropped that are level 86 are also still trash. Is that what you're going to tell me? So not only do I have to only look for Val Regalias that are 86 plus, but 20 out of 21 of the ones that drop are also not good enough for my expensive crafts. Hard pass. Do not do that. That is not okay. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that. Everything else I can put up with, it's all good. But I'm gonna pass on that. Yeah, base types are now generated with a random 0 to 10% higher base defenses as a built-in, currently non-modifiable property. This means that all bases can be better than they currently are. The armor bases types are not homogeneous anymore. Energy shield values on bases instead go from 0 to 20%. This is a really terrible change. This just makes your good bases way more expensive. Which is fine. I'll just buy the good bases. But you're telling me that this is 20 out of every 21 Val Regalias you drop on the ground are actually garbage. That's not 19 out of 20. That's 20 out of every 21. Because 0% is also a number. So that's real bad. Oh, that's real bad. Oh man. Worst case scenario, this has to go in. Please just make it filterable, like something I can filter. Please, for the love of God. Please, for the love of God, at least let me item filter that so I can filter out all the 0 to 19% ones. Oh, okay. Well, that's the end of that. That's the end of that one. Tomorrow we're going to be getting our auras, curses, and elemental damage over time, which is going to be real interesting. I don't know how that one's going to go. Yeah, that one should be okay. All right. Well, we'll see everyone from YouTube tomorrow because we'll cut it here. But yeah, this is oh, this got some interesting spicy stuff. All right. Goodbye, YouTube people.